Hello, everybody. It is Monday, the 18th of May. I want to talk about, again, esoteric knowledge, knowledge that has come out of gnosis, especially the Emerald tablets, but other teachings as well. I just watched the video, and there were a few points there that really got my back up. You know, it's all bullshit. That was the first thing. One of the reasons why this person said it was bullshit is because it was written in 1939. So it is New Age bullshit. Now, that's the first point. Is something only truth if it is ancient? Is there no occult knowledge these days? Do people not have visions these days? Yeah, so if it's modern, it can't be true. That is actually, that's not an argument, you know? To me, that is not an argument. It has to be ancient to be truth. No, it doesn't. Truth can come up out of a person these days if they are guided in the correct way. Now, so this was written by an occultist again. Occultist is somebody who looks at the unseen realm of energy, of vibrations, of forces like thought and emotions, stuff like that, that create realities. That is an occultist, somebody that looks beyond the physical. So, I mean, Carl Jung was an occultist because he looked beyond the forces, at forces beyond the physical. Again, words. Yeah, what is an occultist? Oh, somebody who looks at demons and stuff. Bullshit. It just means going beyond the physical. So anyway, so he wrote that after being having guidance by, well, she said it said the Great White Lodge, so it must have been, I'm not familiar with that lodge, but it must be just a gathering of people that look into these things. And they have mostly special ways of doing it. Yeah, but whether that is I don't know, working with symbols, chanting, dancing, anything that would put you into an altered state. I don't know what they did in the Great White Lodge. As I said, I've never heard of it. But he came out with this knowledge of the Emerald tablet. So, and then we have people now running with that. And here comes the first biggest mistake that you can make, thinking that that talks about something outside of yourself, because it never does. You're not seeing something outside, not in this world, not in the cosmos. If you're going inside, you see inside. If you look outside, you see outside. Yeah, you don't go inside to see outside. That is nonsense. But still, there's now stuff going around saying that the halls of, what was it called? Amenti. I haven't written that down. Anyway, that is around somewhere beneath the earth crust. Yeah, people running with that. Somewhere beneath the earth crust, especially under the plateau of Giza, where enlightened beings known as the children of light guard cosmic knowledge. So you have a physical place in this earth or somewhere out in the cosmos, in another dimension, in the astrozone or something, and there are beings there that are giving you the knowledge. Yeah? Well, for starters, I've read the Emerald tablet several times, and I do not recall that it said anywhere that that was a place on Earth. underneath somewhere. Yeah? So that was made up for starters, that it's somewhere on Earth. It's not. So there is the crust. It is beneath the crust. The crust is your own physical being. It is beneath the crust of your own physical being. And the beings inside that you meet are aspects of consciousness. They're not actual beings. When you talk about an aspect like love or hate, those aspects will take on forms in the vision. Hate is not a person, but it will take on the form of a person, and it will speak to you, giving knowledge, wisdom from the perspective of hate, where you might have another one person giving knowledge from the perspective of love, and they will see two completely different things. But that is, again, that is the conversation that is going out within yourself. Nothing to do with the cosmos or digging up stuff under the earth crust. It is within yourself. One of the greatest Gnostic teachings is do not follow a man, first of all, and do not follow a man that says the kingdom is here, is in heaven, or the kingdom is under the sea. Yeah, in a specific place on earth or beyond earth. It says if the kingdom is in heaven, then the birds will get there before you. And if the kingdom is under the sea, the fish will get there before you. The kingdom is within you and all around you. It is within, the space within. You're traveling to the space within. And yeah, especially in Gnostic teachings and stuff, it takes on a form, the form of a story, where aspects of yourselves become characters in a play. But you need to know what it is you're looking at. You need to understand that that is what you're seeing. So, and exactly what they're seeing is a game of association. Yeah, it's like when David Icke says, well, Christians will see Jesus. Yes, they will, because they are in that story already. So the characters they find within will be according to the story that they know. What does it mean to meet Jesus? Yeah, it's not the man. It is symbolizing it's a symbol. Jesus is a symbol for what? Love and compassion. So what they're talking to is love and compassion, the aspect of love and compassion and the knowledge that comes looking through that lens, so to speak. That is what they're talking about, but it is within themselves. And I think sometimes the characters themselves were fully made up by the person themselves. You know, stuff like Yaldabaoth. Yeah? There is no being in the astral zone that has the head of a lion and the body of a snake and burning eyes. I don't know what that guy was on to come up with that one, but that was a bad trip. That form does not exist. It symbolizes something. What is Yaldabaoth? Yaldabaoth is the thought of I am the only one. I am the creator of all. That is Yaldabaoth. You need to go beyond the form, even in the vision, to see what it contains, what the meaning of that form is. And it's quite simply that. I am the only one. And it is ignorance. It is the thought that is completely and utterly ignorant. But that is what you need to see, understand. And here is why, in ancient times, They had schools. They had mystery schools where people were trained before they went on a trip. So they knew what they were actually looking at. So they understood their own vision. Training in vision interpretation, dream interpretation. Yeah, so that they did not go off saying, oh, I saw the eons and the eons are building, being somewhere in the middle of the universe. Again, you're projecting from the inside to the out. It never spoke about that. The eons are part of consciousness within yourself, in the conversation that is going on within yourself. Sophia is wisdom. It's not a being that fell out of the middle of the universe into the dust cloud and suddenly became the earth. I mean, now we're really in fairy tale country here. That is just idiocy at its finest. So people were trained to interpret these things correctly. And when they spoke to each other, they knew that they spoke to each other about inner knowledge. Yeah? When somebody said it's the earth's crust, they knew they were talking about their own material being going beneath that. When they talked about the ancients, they knew it was ancient knowledge that was within themselves. The knowledge is within you. The kingdom is within you. You go into gnosis to see what is actually inside of this box, which is a lot more than you know. But it is really through their conversation with each other. And I think there was really the problem, that they've hidden that. And that they talk to each other in that manner, because if an uninitiated person got a hold of that, heard the conversation, yeah? Oh my God, they're talking about horned-winged goats in, I don't know where. Yeah, they're talking about demons. They're talking about beings in the astral zone. And then the uninitiated person starts running with that and comes up with all sorts of nonsense of stuff that is out there. And that is really how you start a religion. That is how the uninitiated, the ignorant start religions. There is a being out there somewhere that we must worship. That is how religion starts. And at the moment, I think I've read, as I said, I've read the Emerald tablets. There was some really good stuff in there. I've read, let's say, the Aquarian Gospel. Again, found within themselves very recently. Not something that came up in ancient times. That doesn't mean it's bullshit. Yeah? Again, the Aquarian Gospels are centered on Jesus. I would say the guy, whoever had that vision, came from a Christian background. Yeah? So it would have taken on that form. So how do you even ascertain whether what is being said there is truth or is not, is in fact bullshit? To be quite honest, especially, I keep saying that, especially when they took drugs, they went kind of far out. Their visions became more and more colorful. Due to the drugs, I would say, yeah. You can probably have a more reasonable vision if you're sober. Yeah, how do you ascertain whether it is truth? Now, let's say there's two teachings inside of the Emerald tablets that stayed with me out of all the stuff. You know, sometimes there's just things that spring out with you. at you, and they stay with you more than anything else that is in there. So the two that stayed with me was, first of all, was that there is no magic. Magic is just a term for things not understood. Yeah. Everything has, again, you go to the Hermetic teachings, that everything has got a cause. Every effect, has got a cause. And magic is a cause not understood. So, and you can actually reason that very quickly, even in the material world. Yeah. If you took a flashlight, let's say, to a tribe in the Amazon, let's say, that has had no contact with the outside world now, your flashlight would appear like magic. When it is knowledge, but that they do not understand. Technology that they do not understand. So that saying is easily, you can easily verify that is probably truth. There's another one that stayed with me, and that was the saying that he who speaks does not know, and he who knows does not speak. Now that is not easily said, whether that is right or wrong. So what do you do with a saying like that came out of gnosis? The scientific way would be to take it into a laboratory and work it to see the outcome. The laboratory is yourself. Take that saying within yourself, practice it, and see whether it is truth or not. That is the only way you can find out for yourself. Before that, you have to believe that somebody has done it, and then you must believe that that person is saying the truth. Unless you take that saying within and find it out for yourself. And it's only when you find out for yourself that it is true knowledge. Because when you have the experience that it is truth, then you truly know. Before that, it is belief. Trust that somebody else is speaking the truth. And well, I think this is the point. This is the point where I'm at now, which is why I have not made many videos. Because I'm sick and tired of talking. But trying to work it. This is not something you believe just in your head. This should be a full body experience, which is the point I'm trying to get to. But as I said, for anybody in this world trying to get to the truth of the ancient knowledge, they have to go within. They have to take those sayings into their own inner laboratory and see if that's their truth. Yeah, you kind of compare it to your own truth. And that is then really leading to the true knowledge of self. But from the start, yeah, it seems that people have found ways, like it is described here, guidance from the Great White Lodge that led to the knowledge of the Emerald tablets. They found ways, like children, yeah, finding the key to the kitchen and the hand in the cookie jar, without any discernment, without even knowing what it is they're doing, understanding what it is they're doing. So we've been taught ways, Kundalini yoga, occult knowledge, occult teachings by various lodges. People go practice it, they have experiences and they don't know what they're looking at, because they did not have all that teachings beforehand that explained to them what it is they would be seeing and how to interpret it correctly. That is what would have been done in the mystery schools. The person would have been prepared for the vision. Yeah. Right now, nobody is prepared for the vision. They found ways of doing it, and they're doing it, and they're having visions. And again, projecting straight away. Like this is something that is talking about somewhere outside, somewhere on Earth, somewhere outside of Earth. And it never does. It never does. It doesn't speak about that. But then, yeah, they're going around proclaiming it is under the Earth crust, it is in the astral zone. There are beings with lions' heads and snakes' bodies and horn-winged goats fluttering about the place. Yeah, and yeah, and the next thing you know, you've got a religion. People making themselves idols and starting worshipping. So if we're coming back into occult knowledge, into esoteric teachings, the whole world has to be prepared for what that actually means, what it is they're actually looking at. And as I said, we have apparently people have found the way they can do it, and they don't know what it is they're doing. They do not understand what it is they're seeing. And yeah, they're coming out with all manners of bullshit about realms under the Earth's crust on the Giza Plateau. And they have followers that worship. And we'll end up in another religion, which is complete and utter ignorance. We're going round and round the same circles. There will be a new religion. People will worship. It will be used by somebody as an instrument of control, which it is, and what they do. Unless we start to understand what it is we're doing and what it is we're actually looking at. And as I said, I think it is especially in this time because there are a lot of new visions coming up. And as I said, just because it was come up with in 1939 does not mean it's bullshit. Visions have not stopped. As long as people find a way to have a vision, they will have a vision. And if occult knowledge is being practiced a lot, which it is at the moment, people will have a lot of visions. We are in a time of enlightened knowledge, and we don't know what it is we're looking at or what to do with that. So that knowledge is actually totally wasted. We might have a time of awakening, but that awakening is totally wasted because people do not understand what is actually being said and what it is talking about. Right. I want to leave it at that at this moment. As I said, yeah, he who talks does not know, and he who knows does not talk. He who speaks does not know, sorry. He who knows does not speak. I'm trying very hard not to speak at the moment. I might actually get to some knowledge, and that is experience. That is going to be in some way helpful in this shit. I will make more videos, obviously. I keep getting triggered, but I really need some time to myself to figure this out. Anyway, I leave it at this for today, and I'll talk to you sometime soon, no doubt. See you then.